All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to week one. It is officially here. Thursday is just a few days away. We've got the Rams and the Bills in SoFi Stadium to start the season. So this marks the first video of weekly rankings. I'm Nathan, by the way. I'm here with Spencer. What's going on?
About 20 seconds late, but it'll work. It'll work.
Well, you see where the priorities are.
It's
So,
week one.
so we're going to start with our quarterbacks. We're going to go on our website if you haven't checked them out already, the We update them every week with our weekly rankings. You can see our consensus ranking on the right column and then where each of us have them. And so you want to get started? You want to just alternate, go on down the list?
Yeah, we can glance. We can glance by some of the obvious, like Josh Allen at number one. The top four basically. But yeah, I'll start with Josh Allen. I think he's unanimous number one until he proves he's not. That's non-biased speaking.
Right.
It really doesn't matter who he's facing. I still think he's going to be number one until he proves that, or until someone else proves that they can beat him. There's not much to say for Josh Allen, number one.
Yeah, he's got like a 20-point floor like every single week. Number two is Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City's starting the season at Arizona. A lot of people are worried about Tyreek Hill, but as you can see in the preseason, they looked like a well-oiled machine. They brought in Juju. They've got some great weapons. They brought in MVS, drafted Sky Moore. I'm not worried about him. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think he's the second best quarterback play. You have him at 4,
Yeah.
so we still have him as a top tier QB1 play. But I just think he is a better option than the next guy, Lamar Jackson, who has a great matchup against the Jets. The next two are running quarterbacks who have probably two of the best matchups that they're going to get maybe all year, in the Jets and Detroit. But Lamar, I think, provides more rushing than Jalen Hurts. But that is not my third best. We'll get down to my third best at 5. But who do you have?
Next, Jalen Hurts. I've got him at my number 2 spot. I just love the weapons they brought in with A.J. Brown. Miles Sanders is healthy. They got Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. They're loaded, and I love the rushing upside of Jalen Hurts. And then right below that, we have Justin Herbert, who you have as your number 3 this week.
Yeah, I had him as my number 2 at the end of the draft process. He has a little bit tougher of a matchup than the guys above him, but if there is one guy early in the season who could take that number 1 spot from Josh Allen, as much as it pains me to say this, it could be Herbert.
Yeah, absolute cannon of an arm.
May put up better passing stats. I don't think he'll put up the rushing stats, but he very well could put up better passing stats with Keenan Allen, with Mike Williams, brought in Gerald Everett, throw into Austin Eckler, weapons on weapons.
Yep. All right, so next we have Russell Wilson. This one is hard to talk about. Sensitive subject. Week 1 comes back into Seattle and probably will blow them out by 30. Spencer's got him as his number 6 play. He's my number 7. Cake matchup. Seattle sucks. That's all there is to say.
What a undervalued player throughout the whole draft process.
Yeah, I think we're about to get to one as well.
But the next is Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray was being drafted up there with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, and Josh Allen last year. He was kind of a drop-off this year on ESPN and sleeper formats. But he has a good matchup against Kansas City in what could be a 42-35 game.
Yeah.
It might, you might see a drop-off without Hopkins. But, I mean, he still has Rondale Moore, Zach Ertz, throwing to James Conner out of the backfield, Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
And he runs and runs and runs. So yep. I think he is a very good QB1 play.
Yep. So next is, in my opinion, the most undervalued quarterback in the whole drafting process, Tom Brady. He was going as like QB 12 or 13 and some. I think in our league he went at about the 12 spot. I think that's crazy. He was QB3 last year. People are so quick to forget. Chris Godwin, news came out. He's practicing today without a knee brace, so I think he's going to be fine. I mean, you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Julio, Russell Gage. I mean, Leonard Fournette out of the backfield. How can you go? And they're playing Dallas, which I think has all the makings of a shootout, even though both defenses are pretty good. I mean, how can you go wrong with Tom Brady? He's money in the bank.
Yep, and then Aaron Rodgers, the former MVP or 2-time MVP. At 9, he's like the biggest question mark. Like, is he still going to make these awful weapons work? Like last year, he was like a top 5 fantasy quarterback with no rushing upside. And, but he had Devontae Adams. Is he
Yeah.
still going to be able to make it work with Doubs, with Sammy Watkins, Robert Tonyan, Randall Cobb?
Christian Watson.
It's a really bad wide receiver room, but he's so, so, so good.
I mean, honestly, I like the upside of Aaron Rodgers the more I think about him because, he's got potential, mystery cards essentially with Dobbs and Watson. I mean, either one of them could turn out to be a stud and complete down. And he gets Tonyan back, which he loves to go to near the goal line, which could replace some of the Devontae Adams. But I mean, obviously nobody's replacing Adams, but
and he has week 1 Sammy Watkins.
that is correct. If you have Sammy Watkins, plug him in.
Maybe we should have moved up Aaron Rodgers a little bit. But next
we got Dak Prescott. We just talked about Tom Brady getting into a shootout. They play Tampa. Tampa has a fantastic run defense, but is a little bit more susceptible in the passing game. We've both got him around the 10 spot. Spencer's at 10. I'm at 11. Great weapons with CeeDee Lamb. He won't have Gallup back yet, but I think between Lamb and Schultz and Zeke and Pollard out of the backfield, maybe they feature Jalen Tolbert. I think it's a great matchup for him. If you've got, unless you've got one of the top guys and Dak, I think you're setting Dak in play every week.
Somebody you're a little bit higher on than I am, and it is your pick to be MVP and in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow. I don't love him as much because I think he has one of the tougher matchups on the schedule. I think Pittsburgh has a really good defense.
Sure.
Maybe lack in the corners, but their defensive line is disgusting in their safeties. But Joe Burrow at 11, I still think he's like a bottom end QB1 play.
Yeah.
But if you have Joe Burrow, you're not too worried. I mean, you got yourself a good pick in the draft.
Yep. Next, we have Matthew Stafford comes up against Josh Allen on Thursday. I'm predicting a shootout. I think both teams could score over 40 points. Even though both teams have good defenses, I just think it'll be an absolute score fest. Spencer's got him as his number 11 play. I've got him at 13, brings our consensus to 12. Once again, maybe the very bottom of QB1 plays this week. Maybe that's probably where I'd cut it off. Trey Lance, maybe. But if you got him, unless you picked him as a backup quarterback, set it, forget it. He should produce this week.
Trey Lance at 13. Chicago used to have a great defense. I think their defense is bad now. That's kind of like the two sleeper quarterbacks going up against each other, Justin Fields and Trey Lance.
Yeah.
But Trey Lance, I think, offers more with his legs than Justin Fields does. And he's also throwing to Debo, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and has a solid run game. But Trey Lance at 13 could be in the top 10 in a couple weeks.
Sure. As could potentially Jameis Winston if, he goes back to Tampa Bay, Jameis, where he's throwing to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They're playing in Atlanta. Atlanta's defense is horrid. Even though they've got a decent secondary, it shouldn't matter when you're throwing to Michael Thomas and Olave and Landry and Kamara. We've both got him inside our top 15. Spencer's at 13. I'm at 15. I could see, like, if you waited on quarterback like Spencer did in our draft, it's not a bad option for week one.
It's definitely not something you're looking forward to.
Yeah, ideally you have somebody better, but if you are stuck with Jameis, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for week one.
I would be more comfortable this season stuck with the next guy, Derek Carr.
Sure.
I have him at 14. We both have him at 14. I think that's large in part due to they're going up against the Chargers defense, who has J.C. Jackson, Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, just to name a few. They are stacked. And, I mean, it could be a shootout, but good. Derek Carr finished around that QB10 area last year without Devontae Adams. And, like, Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the league. I don't think there's any way you can argue that he's not.
I mean, maybe DK, but, yeah, Devontae probably. Yeah.
There's definitely no bias there. But just the matchup, I have him a little bit lower than where I would usually have him. I'd usually have him above probably Jameis Winston and maybe
above Lance.
Yeah, I have him above Lance right now, I think. I'd maybe put him above Stafford some weeks.
Okay.
That might be a little bit of a hot take, but I do like Derek Carr this season. Not a great matchup, probably high-end QB2.
Okay. Trevor Lawrence comes in our number 16 spot. Another wild card this year. They got Christian Kirk to help him out. They got his college running mate Travis Etienne. James Robinson probably won't be back week 1, I would guess, but he's coming, and they have a decent matchup against Washington. Spencer's got him at 16. I have him at 17. He's got all the talent in the world. Hopefully, the new coaching staff will be able to unleash his potential, and I think having Etienne back there is only going to help him out because he loves to dump it off.
Yeah. I have Kirk Cousins at 18. You have him at 16. Unfortunately, this is my QB1 in our main league. This is disgusting. Probably mid QB2. I also have Jameis Winston, but I'm just not sure who I'm going to start. I have Jameis ranked higher, but I think Kirk Cousins has probably the higher floor.
Probably, I would say so, yeah.
But if you're not winning, if you're not first, you're last. So I think I might play Jameis. But Kirk Cousins, he has weapons. He has a new offensive coordinator. He just kind of has a tough matchup. Green Bay has a good defense. I could see this being like a 17-14 score with two good offenses too. But I think both teams have good defenses.
Sure.
Could be a shootout, but I don't think so.
Yeah, next you have Justin Fields, kind of like Trevor Lawrence, a bit of a wild card. Lost Allen Robinson, so people are hoping Darnell Mooney steps up. He's got a healthy David Montgomery. Other than that, maybe some Cole Kmet here and there. We're banking on his rushing upside. Comes up against a very good San Fran defense. I've got him at number 20. Spencer's got him at 17, a little higher than me. I get why, just because the rushing upside. I just think they're going to get absolutely smacked by the 49ers. And so that's my reasoning.
Could you see Chicago not scoring a touchdown?
Yes.
Like I could see.
Yes, I could. It's going to take like a Darnell Mooney long one, I think.
I think it could be like a 31-6 game.
Yeah. Like not out of the realm of possibilities.
Chicago is so bad. Like I think them and Seattle are like the
Shadow Ryan
who could have the worst records.
Yeah.
But
no arguments here.
My last one is Matt Ryan. He's kind of a wild card too. Atlanta had such a bad offensive line, and now he's going to Indianapolis, who has a really good offensive line. He'll have more time to throw. He'll have an actual run game. I'm not saying Cordero wasn't a great runner, but Cordero did most of his stuff, in the passing game, in the receiving game. I don't think we really need to argue Cordero versus Jonathan Taylor.
Maybe we can put a poll up.
Sure. But Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, a sleeper, Mo Alley Cox, Jelani Woods. We really love us some Jelani Woods.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see it before I rank him any higher. I mean, are we going to see, Matt Ryan from a few years ago, or are we going to see, statue Matt Ryan from last year?
And I could see Jonathan Taylor going for 200 yards against the Texans. Like
they might not be throwing for long.
Yeah, I could see them absolutely blowing the wheels off of the Texans. Jonathan Taylor could run the ball 20 times and come out of the game after he's got 250 yards and 3 tuds. And
exactly.
Maybe Matt Ryan comes out. You see a little bit of Sam Ehlinger in there,
Is that your hot take for week 1 that we see Sam Ehlinger?
It might have to be because I could see that getting ugly. Lastly, in the number 20 spot, we have Tua Tagovailoa. Everybody knows about the improved weapons. I'm a tad bit higher on him this week. New England's always going to have a good defense, but I don't know how good of a defense. You need to stop the combo of Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. You're banking on the long balls to them. Otherwise, could be a long night for Tua.
Yeah, Tua might have a lot of long nights, and he might have a lot of nights on the bench. That is my hot take for this season.
Okay.
Tua sees the bench. I am not a Tua fan. He's got to make these weapons work, though.
Yes.
And we have them so low. Like, a lot of these guys that we have around here don't have great weapons, excluding Kirk Cousins. I mean, the bottom 16, Trevor Lawrence, not great weapons. Justin Fields, not great weapons. Matt Ryan, not great weapons. And then you get to Tua, who has Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
And Gesicki and Chase Edmonds. It's like,
so he's got to make them work. He can move up, but we need to see it before we move him up.
Agreed.
But that's it. That's our top 20 quarterbacks. We will be coming out with our top 30 running backs, our top 30 receivers, and then our top 20 tight ends all throughout the week. And then I think once our tight ends hit, we will be the day of football.
So if you're watching the tight ends video, no, that is the beginning of the season, beginning of the best time of the year. Weather starts to get a little colder. Gets a little rowdier inside. It's going to be It's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to
It's
it.
going to be beautiful. But make sure you follow us at the FF Fanatics 3 on Twitter, the fffanatics.com, where you can check out our rankings, our season-long predictions that just dropped Sunday. You can also check out some other stuff. Season-long tiers, we'll be updating them before the season, although they're not far off from where we have them currently. We just need to move a few players up. And you can also send us a trade advice form on there. If you have a question about a trade, maybe don't have Twitter, just email us through our website and we will answer it as soon as we see it. But you got anything else to say?
Appreciate you guys for watching. Be sure to be on the lookout for our running back videos coming tomorrow.